What's up and welcome to FPL Today. I'm your host JNO, welcome to the channel and welcome to what we've learned so far from Game Week 10 for Game Week 11. In this series we look back at the results that have already happened and see what we can learn moving forward in the Fantasy Premier League to maximise your points. And this video is brought to you today by Fantasy Football Magazine, the only fantasy football magazine that is a monthly subscription magazine that you can get delivered to your door every month. Check out the link in the description down below. So we are starting off with West Brom versus Man City, and everyone was expecting Man City to absolutely run away with this one. And if you actually watch the game, they did dominate the game, but the scoreline only came in at West Brom 2, Man City 3. So West Brom actually did manage to take away clean sheet points from a lot of the defenders that people would have brought in, and also Aguero was dropped for Gabriel Jesus, most likely after his exertions in the Carabao Cup, where he played for 120 minutes. Also on the bench was Raheem Sterling, who has been scoring plenty of goals in all of his appearances, but he does seem to be second in line after Leroy Sané so far, but we never know with Pep Guardiola's rotation exactly who is a starting player, apart from the likes of David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne. The standout men from this game were Fernandinho and Leroy Sané. So if you had Leroy Sané, you were a very happy man. Pretty much every other majorly owned Manchester City player didn't really return. Raheem Sterling did come on and score a goal, but still not really the returns we were expecting from our Man City players. It was the pairing of Fernandinho and Leroy Sané that were responsible for the first two goals for Manchester City. The first coming from a ball played out wide to Leroy Sané by Fernandinho, and Leroy Sané blasted it home into the far corner. But West Brom responded with a ball over the top by Gareth Barry, which Jay Rodriguez managed to put away, before Leroy Sané played it back to Fernandinho outside the box, and Fernandinho rocketed it home after a couple of deflections. West Brom did have a few chances after this, but Raheem Sterling came off the bench to get on the end of a Carl Walker cross to make it 3-1, and then just before the death, for some reason Otamendi thought it was a good idea to try and chest it back to his goalkeeper, with Matty Phillips right there to poke it home past Ederson. So 3-2 was the final result, which doesn't really reflect how dominant Manchester City were, but it's another 3 points for Manchester City as they continue to score their way to a Premier League title by the looks of it. But the players that of course stood out, I mentioned all of them so far in that recap. Fernandinho at 5.1 million got 13 points from 1 goal and 1 assist with 3 bonus points. He only had the 1 chance and he only really created the 1 chance, but the quality of those chances he created and the shot he had meant that he got away with 13 points from the game week. And then Leroy Sané at 8.7 million, he got 12 points with 1 goal and an assist as well. He only got 2 bonus points, losing out to Fernandinho, and he had a chance every 30 minutes. Gareth Barry was the other player to stand out in this one at 4.5 million. He'd have picked you up 8 points from 1 assist, and that was the only chance he created, but it was a good chance that did keep West Brom in the game and keep it competitive. The next game we're looking at is Crystal Palace versus West Ham. Now, Crystal Palace have been awful so far this season, and West Ham haven't been much better. Both near the bottom of the table, in fact Crystal Palace at the bottom of the table, so both needed a result in this one. The game started slowly, but Andre Ayew managed to find Creswell in acres of space on the left, and he whipped it into Javier Hernandez, who managed to put it away after a lot of people have seemed to drop Javier Hernandez from their sides. He reminds us all what he is capable of when Andy Carroll isn't on the pitch. Palace then had 2 great chances from Tompkins and Schlupp, both being denied by Joe Hart, and Joe Hart looked really good in this one despite the result. And then Andre Ayew reminds us of his FPL credentials as he took the ball around the halfway line, run forward and then blasted it home with his left foot. But this is West Ham, so West Ham of course ruined their 2-goal lead. Second half, Ogbonna takes down Townsend in the box, which you know I can't say this guy's name, why has he got a score? Milicevic, that will do, puts away the penalty calmly, and then with an extended period of pressure, Cabaye hit the post with a shot from outside the box. Tompkins also hit the crossbar in extra time before Michael Antonio, with literally a minute left, gets down the line, goes past the player, and instead of holding up the ball, for some reason he decides to cross it. The cross is poor, Crystal Palace regained possession, they counter-attack, and Wilfried Zaha, after dribbling around in the box a little bit, managed to score, making it 2-2. This is a vital point for Crystal Palace considering they're 2-0 down, but it could have been so different. Palace could have won this one. If they keep showing that kind of fight, there could be some options in that Crystal Palace side. And West Ham, they seem to be a very up and down team at the moment. Sometimes they can perform in a half and then the other half they're rubbish. So West Ham options, they're there, but it's still a bit uncertain how they're going to perform for the rest of the season. The players that stood out were Milivojevic. The players that stood out were Milivojevic. That's probably really wrong, but that's the way it comes out my mouth the easiest. At 4.6 million, he got you 12 points from 1 goal and 2 bonus points with a chance in each half. And then we had Chicharito coming in at 6.9 million. He got 9 points from 1 goal, 3 bonus points. And he only had 1 chance, but obviously his performance was good enough to pick up those 3 bonus points, which boosted his score total. The next match we're looking at is Liverpool versus Huddersfield. Now, Liverpool needed a result because so far, apart from the Arsenal game, they've been dominated by the big sides and they needed something to boost their morale a bit, whereas Huddersfield already had their morale boost from last week when they managed to beat Manchester United 2-1 at home. However, in this game, Liverpool did start off pretty slowly, but it was them that created the first chance with Sturridge at the back post not being able to put it away, and then Salah and Firmino managed to link up very well and Salah hitting it straight into the goalkeeper's hands. But then Tommy Smith gives Liverpool a penalty by pulling the shirt of Firmino when he really didn't need to, seeing as the ball was going nowhere near Firmino. But Salah would fail to score the penalty, really hurting those FPL managers who captained him. And then Tommy Smith, who was having a really torrid time of it by this point, actually headed through Sturridge on goal, who put it past their keeper to score and make it 1-0 to Liverpool. Then Milner with a cross for Firmino made it 2-0, and then Salah came close to scoring himself before laying it off to Wijnaldum to score the third to end the game there. Now, this was a story of two halves, to be honest, because while Liverpool had chances in the first half, they weren't dominant, they weren't really creating a lot. However, in the second half, that's when Liverpool really turned up after that Tommy Smith header, which went into the path of Daniel Sturridge. After that goal, Liverpool really picked it up and they're going to have to improve on this, but it is nice to see Liverpool get a clean sheet for once. Hopefully they can build on that as well. The players that stood out were James Milner at 6.2 million. He's classed as a defender, so he got a clean sheet as well as his assist from the corner. That's 12 points, and he got 3 bonus points, and he had a chance created every 23 minutes. And Robert Firmino was the other player that stood out at 8.5 million. He scored 8 points and got 1 goal from 2 bonus points, and he had a chance every 66 minutes, but he only played 66 minutes, which shows that he only had 1 chance in the game, but he did put it away. And then the final game we're covering is Arsenal versus Swansea. Now, Arsenal, just coming off of their big win against Everton, needed another win at the Emirates here to keep pace with the league leaders at the moment. And they did manage to pick up a win. It was 2-1, but they were stunned at the beginning with Tammy Abraham finding a through ball to Sam Clucas, who puts it under check to score and put Swansea 1-0 up. Swansea could have gone in at half-time 2-0 up after Mertesacker dilly-dallied on the ball, and Jordan Ayew managed to get the ball off of him, but instead of squaring it to Tammy Abraham, who was open in the middle of the box, he went for the shot and Cech managed to make the save. Some decent football from Arsenal in the second half, however, turned things around, and with Swansea scrambling to get the ball out, the ball fell loose and it was left to Kolasinac to put it into the back of the net with a drilled effort into the far corner. And then Tammy Abraham put the ball into the back of the net after that, which could have made it 2-1 to Swansea, but he was ruled offside. And then Xhaka finds the ball to Kolasinac on the left, who had a great game, who pulls it back for Ramsey, and Ramsey puts it away and puts Arsenal into lead and to win the game at 2-1. The players that stood out were the players I mentioned in that last move. Kolasinac was the standout player though, with 14 points from 1 goal and 1 assist. He also got 3 bonus points. He created a chance every 39 minutes as well as having a chance every 39 minutes. And Ramsey at 7 million is definitely looking like a good way into that Arsenal side if you can't afford the premium price players. 9 points from 1 goal, 2 bonus points, and he had a chance every 30 minutes. And then the other performers from Saturday are Eden Hazard at 10.6 million, who got 11 points from 1 goal and 3 bonus points, and he had a chance every 42.5 minutes. Chelsea dominated the game against Bournemouth really, however they could only score the 1 goal. Morata and Pedro both looked good as well, and Hazard's goal came from a Morata ball played over the top to the left for Hazard, who managed to drill it home at the near post. Chelsea definitely look like a better team with Morata up front compared to Batshuayi, in my opinion, and I think with Hazard back they could start to improve their output as far as going forward. And the other player to stand out was Darren Fletcher from Stoke at 4.9 million. He'd have got you 11 points from 1 goal and 3 bonus points. He only had the one chance, but he put it away well. Fletcher was in fact also the game winner for the Watford versus Stoke game, when everyone was looking at Watford options like Richarlison, Decore and some of their defenders. A corner from Stoke to the outside of the box where Fletcher volleyed it home with the side of his foot. That was the winner. And there was also a bit of an aggressive undertone in this game near the end, with Troy Deeney seeming to jab his thumb into Joe Allen's face while holding his face, which wasn't very nice to see. And a lot of yellow cards were dished out in the second half, which meant there were some minus points there for players. However, Darren Fletcher was the standout man from that game. Props to him for an 11-point score from a £4.9 million midfielder. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning in as always to the series. Sorry if there were games on Sunday and Monday that you wanted me to cover. However, I probably won't have time to do that, so I'm getting the video done now. Thank you guys so much for the support last week. Back to growth as normal after the little blip in my growth because of that other channel that I've made a video about. So thank you guys so much for the support. Also, there was the football recap I did for Friday morning. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Hopefully they'll be done 5 days a week. So if you do enjoy that series, get behind it and support it. Also subscribe to the channel if you love FPL content or football content, as I am trying to now expand myself to football news as well. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.